Hey everybody, I want to talk to you about Bigfoot. And when I say Bigfoot in this context, I don't mean the species of animal, I mean the individual Bigfoot. You see, Bigfoot was the nickname given to the Sasquatch whose footprints were cast for the very first time, and that cast is still in existence. There's rumors of casts from previous footprint finds, but we've never seen a cast, so we don't really know. But this cast is still in existence and belongs to the Crew family, specifically John Crew. I got to see this cast a number of years ago. It actually took me years to track down. The producers of Finding Bigfoot are actually the guys who found it and put me in contact with John Crew. I spent a day with John interviewing him about the situation. Maybe I'll share that with you someday as well. But basically, Bigfoot is the name given to that particular Sasquatch. And that, of course, has caused all sorts of confusion in the years since because of the capitalization of the word Bigfoot. I mean, I don't capitalize bear when I talk about those, but for some reason, spell check always wants me to capitalize Bigfoot. Maybe that's why, I don't know. Bigfoot is the name of an individual Sasquatch. The first time Bigfoot's footprint was cast was in 1958 in October by Jerry Crew, and this is that cast. That cast has never been copied since the olden days, okay? Back way many years ago, 1958, 1959, 1960, Jerry Crew let his cast be copied, we think in sand. Now the way you copy things in sand is you push the cast into sand, pour the plaster in the hole, and there's a copy, right? So Bob Titmus copied that print back in the day, or copied a print from the same track line. We don't know. This is a copy of that cast. You'll notice that this copy is all smooth, but yet in the original 1958 cast, you can actually see the rocks and the stubbly sort of shape and all the ground stuff still in the cast. Well, see, Bob Titmus, what he did is he sanded this down and made it all smooth, and then he colored it with brown paint or whatever it is to kind of give an idea of what the bottom of the foot would look like, which is a mistake. You shouldn't do that. You should have all the dirt and grime and rocks and stuff like that in the bottom of any cast that you have. Don't sand them down, okay? But he did. I know this is a Bob Titmus cast because right here in the back, it says so. This is a historic artifact. Bob Titmus sold these casts through the newspaper. He would take little classified ads and sell them for just a couple bucks. So this is actually a historic artifact from Bob Titmus himself. Pretty cool if you're a nerd like this guy is. But the cool thing about Bigfoot is that we have footprints from that individual Sasquatch, from Bigfoot himself, from a number of different locations over the years from the same general area. This same individual's footprints were found down in High Palm, California. I think it was in April of 1963. You can read about that stuff in John Green's book. 3 footprints were cast of this individual. I only have one copy right here, but it clearly is the same animal. And if it's not the same animal, well, it's very closely related because the similarities are remarkable. Look at the big toe, for example. That's one of the big indicators about when you're trying to figure out if it's the same Bigfoot or not. Look at the big toe. It sometimes gives you a little hint. Now, High Palm is about 60 miles to the south of where the original 1958 footprints were found in Bluff Creek, but it's on one ridge the entire way. I think that's kind of interesting, kind of sheds a little bit of light about maybe how Bigfoots are moving around. Also, in Bluff Creek, there was a 14.5-inch foot that was associated with this individual, Bigfoot, right? It's probably Patty. She's a female, he's a male, and there's probably something going on. But apparently he was kind of moonlighting a little bit because down in High Palm, there was another smaller foot of a different individual associated with these tracks. So does that give us a little bit of a hint on what Sasquatch social structures are like? Maybe. Bigfoot himself traveled 60 miles basically for a booty call, was what it seems like. Now, we can laugh about it, but this is very similar to the way orangutans organize their social structure. You see, with orangutans, females have territories with young ones, and they kind of like butt up against each other or overlap just a little bit, and then the males move around throughout all those territories, like seeing if any females are busy, or if they want to get busy, perhaps. Maybe that's the way Bigfoots work too. We don't really know because not enough data has been collected. But it is an interesting idea, it's an interesting possibility. Another find of this same individual's footprints was also made in 1963, this time in October, by a guy named Pat Graves, who was building a road at the time. But who else was there? Roger Patterson was there. Now, we all know Roger is the guy who got the film in 1967, but he was on a trip to Bluff Creek in 1963 for the Lairds Meadow casts. Roger wrote about the Lairds Meadow casts in his book, although this is the Chris Murphy version where he reprints Roger's book in total and then does other stuff at the end about the film and all that sort of stuff. The original Roger book has a picture on the cover. It looks a lot like this. In fact, it looks exactly like this. And the casts inside are documented on this page. Roger even put scale items in there. But as it turns out, something's wrong there because his book says 1964, but the back of the footprints themselves have 1963 scrawled in them. What do we believe? Well, any historian will tell you have to go to the original source whenever possible. And in this case, you can't get more original than the cast itself. The back of the cast says 1963. It needs to be 1963. Maybe he made a mistake on the cast. Maybe he made a mistake in the book. We're not gonna know about that. We have no way of finding out at this point. So we have to go with the original piece of evidence, and it says 1963 right on them. So the Lairds Meadow casts are from 1963. These are copies of the Lairds Meadow casts, but I gotta say, they're not very good copies. You can see the shapes of the toes, the shape of the foot. It's pretty good in general. Not bad casts, but the original cast itself doesn't quite look like this. You can tell it's the same one, but this must have been copied in sand or something instead of latex at some point over the years, because the original cast looks much more smooth and it's just a better shape in general. This is the last time that this individual's footprints were found and documented, at least. John Green wrote in his book that perhaps the big flood that happened around that time, maybe it killed the individual Sasquatch. We don't really know. Just kind of disappeared, never showed up again. So it's kind of a mystery. But these casts are from the animal that gave us the word Bigfoot. Bigfoot is well represented in the data set, and it is so cool to have this kind of evidence at our fingertips, especially since these casts are amongst the first ever taken that still survive. This form of evidence is rare to begin with, but this sort of historical evidence is just really cool. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed talking about the casts. I'm a Bigfoot nerd, and you clearly are too, because you're supporting the North American Bigfoot Center. The only people that have access to this kind of information at this point are you, our members. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate it.